Hello everyone! Welcome back to our ManytoOne YouTube channel. At kung hindi pa kayo nakasubscribe, mag-subscribe na para updated kayo sa ating weekly lesson. So for this video, we are going to discuss second quarter, week 3 to 4, lesson number 3, relation and function. But we are just going to focus on the part 1, which is all about relation. So, are you ready to learn? Let's go! Let us first define the following terms. It is very important for us to define the following terms since may encounter natin yung mga words na nasa undefined terms. We have the word relation. What is relation? Relation is a set of ordered pairs. Ordered pairs. What is an ordered pairs? It is the set of X and Y pair or yung X, Y. Abscissa. It is the first element or X in an ordered pair. Ordinate. It is the second element or Y in an ordered pair. Domain. This is the set of abscissa. Range. This is the set of ordinate. These are the following undefined terms. Again, we have relation, ordered pairs, abscissa, ordinate, domain, and range. Let us have an examples of ordered pair. Take a look at the following. We have Catherine, Danielle. We have Nadine, James. And we have Liza, Enrique. What can you say about this group of ordered pair? Yes, mga love team, di ba? Next set of ordered pairs. Sir Precioso, Matt. Ma'am Gonzales, Matt. Ma'am Abelio, Matt. And Ma'am Velasquez, Matt. What can you say about this set of ordered pairs? Yes, the teachers, kapartner nila yung subject na tinuturo nila, which is math. Next example of ordered pairs. 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3. So these are the ordered pairs. Now, since we are talking about the set of ordered pairs, that is what we call relation. Relation is a set of ordered pairs. What are the different representation of relations? Paano nire-represent ba ang mga relations? So we have arrow diagram, ordered pairs, tables and equations, and graph. Now, let us discuss the arrow diagram. How do we represent relation using the arrow diagram? Okay, so we have here the arrow diagram. We have the domain, the name of the teachers. We have Mr. Cruz, Miss Santos, Miss De Los Reyes, and Mr. Zape. We have the range, which is the birth month. We have January, we have May, and we have June. So if we are going to partner the domain to its range using the arrow diagram, so we are going to put the arrow. So Mr. Cruz to May means to say that the birth month of Mr. Cruz is May. Miss Santos is on January. Miss De Los Reyes is on May. And Mr. Zape is on June. So this is an example of arrow diagram. Another example of an arrow diagram, we have here the domain, the name of the student, and the range, the age of student. So the domain are, we have Jane, Joy, and James. While the range, 15, 16, and 17 years old. So using the arrow diagram, Jane is 15 years old. That is the age of Jane. While Joy is 16 years old and James is 17 years old. Again, this is an example of arrow diagram. Another example of arrow diagram, we have the domain, the name of head of the family, JP, Nathan, Job, and Romir. While the range are the profession of the following names. We have the teacher and engineer. So using an arrow diagram, JP is a teacher. Nathan is also a teacher. Job is an engineer, and Romir is also an engineer. So those are all about arrow diagram. Another representation of relations is using unordered pairs. So let us discuss unordered pairs. An ordered pair is a set of X and Y pair. X is always the first element or the domain, and Y is the second element or the range. Example, let B the domain is the set of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we are going to make the set of ordered pairs wherein set A is a range. The range is twice the domain. While set B is range is 1 more than the domain. And set C, range is greater than the domain. So let us have set A. Range is twice the domain. So we have set A. We have 1, 2. The domain is 1. The range is 2. It means that the range is twice the domain. Another one is 2, 4. This is the domain 2. And this is the range 4. That is twice the domain. 3, 6. The domain is 3. And twice 3 is 6. That is the range. 4, 8. The domain is 4. And then 8 is the range, which is twice the domain. And finally, we have 5, 10. So 5 is the domain. And twice of 5 is 10. That is the range. So set A, we have the answer. Next, set B. The range is 1 more than the domain. So what will be the elements of the set B? So we have set B, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, and 5, 6. As you can see, all the range in our set B is 1 more than the domain. You got it? Next, set C. The range is greater than the domain. The range is greater than. Mas mataas ang ating range kesa sa domain. So we have set C. We have 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 3, 2, 7, 5, 6. As you can see, all the range in our set C is greater than the domain. So this is all about an example of ordered pairs. The next one, tables and equations. How do we represent relation using a tables and equations? Let us have an example. Tables and equations. Example, construct a table values that will illustrate the cost of number of notebooks if the price is 12 pesos. So, meaning to say, kada notebook, 12 pesos. So, using a table, we have here X is the domain and Y is the range. So, if you have one notebook, that is 12 pesos. So, kung dalawa na yung notebook, that is 24 pesos because 12 plus 12. At kung tatlo na, that is 36. Kung apat na, that is 48. Sa tingin nyo, kung 5 yung notebook, magkano kaya yung presyo? Kung 6, kung 7. So, based from this table, guys, this is a table. Again, we represent relation using a table. And, based from the table, we formulate an equation. Okay. So, kada presyo pala ng notebook, pag nadadagdagan, no, itatimes lang natin sa 12. That's why, based from the table, we formulate an equation which is y is equal to 12x. What does it mean? Ang value ng y ay equal sa 12 pesos times kung ilan yung notebook, which is the value of x. Okay? So, that is table and equations. So, in our equation, we have y is equal to 12x. The total cost is dependent to the number of notebooks. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Yung presyo, no, the total cost, that is the value of y, ay nakadepende lang dun sa bilang ng notebook and the constant which is 12 pesos. The dependent variable is y and the independent variable is x. Ibig sabihin, yung value ng y natin ay nakadepende dun sa magiging bilang ng notebook. You can get the total cost of the notebook, y, if you supply the number of notebook. Makukuha mo lamang ang value ng y, no, kung meron kang value ng x. Ilang bang notebook ang bibilhin? Alright? So, that is an example of equation and table. Let's go back to the representation. So, the last representation of relation is a graph. So, how do we represent relation using a graph? So, this is an example of a graph. As you can see, we have here a blue line. It represents a the graph of a linear equation. So, similarly, you can derive the set of ordered pairs, no, in order to graph a relation, we need to have a set of ordered pairs by using a table or by an equation. So, in our table, we have the values of x or the domain, 1, 2, 3, so on, and for the value of the range, we have 2, 4, 6. Now, based from this ordered pair, we are going to plot 1, 2. So, we are going to locate 1, 2, and then we have 2, 4, and then we have 3, 6, and we have y is equal to 2x. Alright? So, this will be the graph. No? So, this is an example of representing a relation by using a graph. So, let us recall what are the 4 different representations of relation. We have, anybody? We have, okay, so obviously we have here a graph, we have ordered pairs, we have arrow diagram, and we have tables and equations. So I hope you understand. Now, we have the different types of relations. This is according to correspondence. One-to-one correspondence, many-to-one correspondence, and one-to-many correspondence. Again, class, we have different types of relation. Ito naman yung mga uri ng relasyon. O, di ba? Ikaw ba may karelasyon? So, ito ay according sa correspondence. That is one-to-one, many-to-one, and one-to-many. Now, let us discuss each type. Let us have first the one-to-one correspondence. One-to-one correspondence, every element in the domain is paired to only one element in the range. The correspondence is one-to-one and this is a function. Now, ano ibig sabihin ng one-to-one? Ibig sabihin, isa sa isa lang, no? Bawal magdoble. Kumbaga, 1:1, no? Bawal magdoble. Let's have an example. Okay, so we have here the domain and the range. So, again, let's go back to the example earlier. The love team, ito, isa sa isa lang, no? Hindi pwedeng dalawang kapartner mo. 1:1 nga lang, no? For example, we have James, corresponds to Nadine. Daniel, corresponds to Catherine. And Enrique, corresponds to Liza. So, in this given example, we have a one-to-one correspondence. Isa lang ang katapat ni domain kay range. Walang na doble. Another example using unordered pair. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8. So if you are going to study the domain are 1, 3, 5, and 7. Walang naulit dyan. The range are 2, 4, 6, and 8. Wala ring naulit sa range, meaning to say we have a one-to-one correspondence. That is an example in a table. We have the domain are 1, 3, 5, 7. The range are 2, 4, 6, 8. This is a one-to-one since walang naulit sa ating element ng domain, wala ring naulit sa element ng range. An equation which is y is equal to x minus 1 is an example of a one-to-one correspondence. Now, paano malalaman na yung equation ay one-to-one? If the equation is a linear equation, meaning to say the highest exponent of the variable x and y is raised to 1, a first degree equation. And since if the equation is a linear equation, therefore its graph is a line. So meaning to say it is a one-to-one correspondence if the graph is a line. Alright? So that is a one-to-one correspondence. Now in real life, what are the examples of one-to-one correspondence? Okay, student and his or her LRN, 'di ba? Ang isang estudyante ay nagko-corresponds lamang sa isang LRN. No, kanya na 'yon. Hindi pwedeng madoble, hindi pwedeng dalawang estudyante, isa lang ang LRN. Hindi pwede 'yon. Sa bawat isang estudyante, meron lang isang LRN. Employee and employees ID, 'di ba? Katulad namin mga teacher, meron lang kaming ID number, employee number. No, sa amin lang 'yon. Hindi pwedeng may madobleng employee number sa mga employees. That is a one-to-one correspondence. Another one, you, ikaw at saka birthday mo, no? Isang beses ka lang nag-birthday. Kaya one-to-one lang 'yon. Birthday mo, isang beses lang. Hindi pwedeng nag-birthday ka ngayon, bukas birthday mo ulit. Okay, so give 2 examples of one-to-one correspondence. So, you are going to write that on your notebook. Magbigay ka ng 2 example na one-to-one correspondence na hindi pwedeng madoble, hindi pwedeng maulit. Alright? Let's go to the next type of relation according to the correspondence. Many-to-one correspondence. Marami sa isa. Anong ibig sabihin nun? There are 2 or more elements in the domain. 2 o higit pa na value ng domain that corresponds to only 1 element in the range. And the correspondence is many-to-one. This is a function. So let us have an example. The domain, we have Sir Jonard, Sir Michael, Sir Manny. And then it corresponds to only 1, the range, which is head teachers. So ibig sabihin yung tatlo na yon, nag-corresponds lang sa isang range at sila ay head teachers. Alright? That is many. Marami yung domain, isa lang ang ating range. Another example using an ordered pair, we have negative 1, 1, and then 2. Those are the domain. Then observe the range, only 0. Okay, again, we have negative 1, 1, and 2. Those are the domain. Tatlo ang value ng domain, negative 1, 1, and 2. Samantalang ang value ng range natin ay iisa lang, that is 0. That is an example of many-to-one correspondence. Next, example of a table. 2 ang domain and negative 2 while the value of the range is same, 5 only. So that is many, dalawa. Then iisa ang value ng range which is only 5. So that is many-to-one. Okay, in an equation, x squared is equal to y is an example of many-to-one. Why? Because here, ibig sabihin ng x squared, dalawa ang value ng x. Many, no? Dalawa. At ang exponent ng y is 1. Ibig sabihin, isa lang ang pwedeng maging value ng y. 1. That's why we have here many-to-one. Alright? And the graph of an equation which is x squared is equal to y is a parabola opening upward. Alright? This is a many-to-one correspondence. Pwede rin yung downward, no? Yang parang ganito, no? Parang payong na pataas or payong na pababa. Yan, ganyan ang magiging graph ng many-to-one correspondence. Alright? So, I hope you learned the second type of relation according to the correspondence. Now, let's move on to some examples of this many-to-one correspondence in real life. So, we have the grade 8 teachers to school principal. Ayan, marami kaming grade 8 teachers. 25 grade 8 teachers to only one school principal. So, that is many-to-one. Another one, the passengers to a jeepney driver. Diba? Maraming nakasakay sa isang jeepney driver. And the students to his or her advisor. Maraming estudyante sa iisang advisor. So, those are examples of many-to-one correspondence in real life. Now, give 2 examples of many-to-one correspondence. You're going to write your answer on your paper. Next type of correspondence is one-to-many correspondence. One-to-many. What does it mean? Every element in the domain is paired to 2 or more element in the range. No? Yung isang element mo sa domain ay nakapartner sa dalawa o higit pang range. The correspondence is what we call one-to-many correspondence. So, let us have an example. So, the domain here is Sir Precioso. While the range are 8 quartz, 8 diamond, 8 emerald, 8 peridot, 8 perido, 8 moonstone. So, the teacher corresponds to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different grade 8 sections. No? Kulang pa nga ng isa yan. 6 dapat yan. But here in the example, we have one teacher to many grade 8 sections. So that is an example of one-to-many. Another one, we have here an example of ordered pair. Take a look at the domain. The domain here is 0, 0 only, and it is paired to how many range? 1, 2, and 3. So that is an example of one-to-many correspondence. So take a look at the graph. We have 5 and then 2. We have the table 5 and then 2, 5 and negative 2. There is only one value for the domain, that is only 5, paired to 2 values of the range, which is 2 and negative 2. Okay? Next. An equation is one-to-many correspondence if, take a look at here, ang value ng x natin isa lang because the exponent here is 1. And it is paired to y square. What does it mean? We have 2 values for y. That's why we have x is 1, that is the domain, and y square is 2, that is the range. So we have one-to-many. That is an equation. And if the equation is like this, ang y natin ang may exponent na 2, that will be the graph. So take a look at the graph. The graph is a parabola opening to the right. Pwede rin yung kabaliktaran yan, papunta naman sa left. That is an example of one-to-many correspondence. Alright? So, guys, again, let us recall what are the 3 types of relation according to correspondence. We have one-to-one, many-to-one, and one-to-many correspondence. Okay, so let us have here an example of one-to-many correspondence. In real life, we have the president to senators. We have only one president compared to how many senators do we have? 24, I think. Then we have cashier to a customer. So, yung cashier, iisa lang. And then, ang dami nakapila sa kanya mga customer na nagbabayad. So, that is one example of one-to-many. And the teacher to students. Isang teacher, maraming estudyante. So, give 2 example of one-to-many correspondence. Write the examples in your notebook. Okay, for our learning task number 1. So, this will be written on a sheet of paper and you are going to submit this on Friday. Learning task number 1, identify the domain and the range and then determine if it is a function or a relation. So, we have items 1, 2, and 3. So, in this column, we have here the domain. You're going to write the domain from this set, and then from this set, you're going to write the domain, while here, you're going to write the range. And then on this column, you're just going to write that is a relation or a function. Relation, function, or relation or a function. And for our letter B, so given the set of the domain, we have, ito yung mga domain na ipe-pair nyo. Negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. So, number 1, construct the set of ordered pairs such that, okay, ko-construct kayo ng ordered pairs na dapat daw ang range is 1 less than the domain. So, yung range na ipapartner nyo ay mas mababa ng isa sa domain. Construct a table, okay, you're going to write a table such that the range is 2 more than the domain. So, mas mataas naman ang range na ipapartner nyo sa domain ng ilan? 2. And then, write the equation for numbers 1 and 2. So, yung ginawa mo sa number 1 at ginawa mo sa number 2, magko-construct or formulate kayo ng equation. And then, igagraph nyo yung ginawa nyong equation sa number 3. No? You are going to graph numbers 1 and 2 on separate coordinate plane. Alright? So, if you have more questions about the learning task, you can ask your math teachers. And for your assignment, this is just an, please take an advanced study, no, research on the following. Just try to define the following, no, para pag tinanong kayo ni teacher, alam nyo na yung lesson natin next week. So, just a research or define the following. We have function, dependent variable, independent variable, and the vertical line test. So, you must be prepared para sa lesson natin for week number 4. Okay? And that is the end of our lesson for week number 3, which is all about relation and function.